freaks and geeks? We are the Square Roundtable Podcast. Thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Chad Singleton. I am your host, and these are my wonderful co-hosts. Go ahead, guys.
Hey, Josh.
Marcus.
All right. We have a very special guest with us tonight. Our guest is a multifaceted stage, screen, and voice actress who is seriously taking the anime world by storm. Some of the characters she's voiced, this is a long list. She has voiced Bee from Pokemon Twilight Wings, Ray from The Promised Neverland, which is my favorite anime right now, Clarence from Sword Art Online, Alternative, Gun Gale Online, and that's a ridiculously long name, by the way. Bianca Carlisle from Mobile Suit Gundam Thunderbolt Bandit Flower, Spinner Cloud from Hunter x Hunter, and Kite from Hunter x Hunter. Let's give a warm Square Roundtable welcome to Miss Laura Stahl.
Hey y'all. Hi everybody.
Hey. What is going on? How are you doing?
Oh, you know, it's just another Monday.
Definitely. Well, like I said before, we are so, happy. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to be with us tonight. Like, we appreciate it so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so excited to get started and talk to y'all. It'll be fun.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I definitely think so. And just a little bit before we begin, like, how's everything been going? I know it's been crazy with, having to be quarantined and everything going on. So how have you been holding up?
I'm going insane.
Really? Just like the rest of us, right?
Yes, we all are.
Yeah.
To be fair and honest, like I am exceedingly grateful that I'm able to continue to work even as the pandemic is going and all as 2020 is happening to all of us. It is really amazing that I can continue to work, especially within my field, and I'm supremely grateful for that. It has been a very interesting journey.
Yeah.
Jumping from working in studio, where I realize now how supremely spoiled I was to be able to do that, to having to create a space at home that I could work and try to make TV-ready audio quality, and dealing with all that comes with making that happen, having to contend with like garbage trucks and leaf blowers and planes and bad internet connection and all kinds of things that can happen that you didn't really necessarily have to think about when you could just walk into the studio and have everything happen for you. We don't do that no more.
No, that's so 2019. Who's doing that anymore? Like,
I know. What kind of spoiled, soft-hand children do you think we are?
We gangsters around here, you know?
We handle our own audio game. What are you talking about?
There we go. So compared to like just for our viewers out there and us, because we have no idea, but compared to being in a studio where you have soundproof booth and all of that good stuff, like how hard has it been? Like, have you had to at home do like 100 retakes, like you said, because of a truck or something, or kids screaming or something?
It depends on the day. It depends on the show and the studio and what's going on. For the most part, everybody, the learning curve was real steep, but I think we've started to really get the hang of things. It's very interesting because a lot of different studios have a lot of different methods for how they want to do things. There are several different platforms that they want to record from, and some studios ask that the actors themselves record backup audio for them that they upload then, and then they can have like 2 different copies. And some studios, like I literally just before this interview just got off of a session, and we were using a platform in which the engineer was remotely controlling my computer. So I had to let them in, and then suddenly my mouse was flying around and they were recording from my rig from where they were. And I've done that with a couple of different studios, and then it's been interesting having to learn the new dynamic for every single space and studio that you work with. Ooh, it's been a lot.
It sounds like it's
that's really interesting. Yeah.
But it's a whole new world, y'all. But it's all right. We've been doing okay. the directors have been really great, and the engineers. Oh my gosh, thank an engineer today. Like everybody, go hug an engineer. Well, like safe distance, hug an engineer.
I know, right?
There
They
we
are
go.
saving our lives. They are amazing. They're always there. They're always there. They remind you, like, if you're gonna do like a big scream take, they're like, remember to turn your gain down, y'all, because like, I don't want to make you do that 30 times. And like,
Gotcha.
let's in the before times, right?
In
Way
the
back
olden days.
when we could go into the studio and record, I remember we used to the engineers and everybody, we used to kind of get upset if we're like, oh man, we have to go to a different room within the studio, like halfway through getting through a certain set of episodes. And the reason for that was like, oh, the room tone's going to change, so that's going to be weird for the editing process. They would like to get every actor into the same room for the same set of episodes, so that it all is uniform. But now every actor is in a different room using different equipment,
That's
with different
crazy.
sound, with different like obstacles that they're dealing with. And so they have to try to take innumerous amounts of talent in their recordings and try to make them all sound uniform, which is almost impossible, but somehow they're doing it, and it's just mind-blowing. I can barely turn on my own computer. Like,
Dang. I know it's
I
not
have so much respect for the other people within my field and in my industry. Like, understanding how this community has to work together to make these things happen is just mind-blowing. It's astronomical.
Yeah. Like I always say, the behind the scenes people are the most important people. Y'all can't forget
Are.
that.
They really are, though. Like, they are so dope. They know so much. They're so
They do.
cool. And
They
like,
can do like 3 jobs at once.
man, like, all I'm doing is walking in here and reading shit. Like, you tell me what words to say, I'm gonna say them. But like, they are handling like science.
That's, I feel it.
So much respect over there.
That's what's up, Laura. That's good stuff.
That's dope.
Oh, go ahead, Josh. You were gonna say something else?
Yeah, Laura. As far as having to read things is concerned, how do you get your script? Do they send it to you, or is it like a prompt on your screen when you're recording?
It depends on the studio and the level of NDA we're at. I mean, for the most part, everybody's like, we're all under NDA, guys. Like, we just gotta be, don't share it or whatever.
Gotcha.
But if it's really like, none for you, they will send it. They'll screen share with you and show you what they've got on their screen, and you can read it from there. For the most part, for most of the anime and stuff that I'm doing lately, they will send me the scripts like the night before, and I will have those up on my screen, and then we'll do through. Usually, we're working through a Zoom call, so it's kind of like this, except we're not looking at each other at all. We are sharing the screen that belongs to the engineer, and we have the picture, so the animation is up in the Zoom call, and then I have my own recording session, my recording audio on the other screen. So I've got two screens here, and my eyes are right here all the time. And so we're just recording to picture, and we're working together, and we're scrolling through the script together, and the director will tell me like which loop to go to next. Loop is like line of dialogue. I don't remember why they're called loops. It has to do with how they used to do ADR back in like the 70s and 80s. It was when it was back on film and on tape. I don't remember why though.
They just kept the same name.
They just kept the same name. It's sort of.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, it's like when people say that they're filming a video. We're not using film no more, but we're still filming. So it's a loop is a line of dialogue, and they are numbered throughout the script, and so the director will let us know. So okay, we're gonna scroll down to loop 315 or something like that, and you can go and find it, and now you've got it matched up, and then the engineer will preview the clip of the video, so you can see what's happening and how long you have to say what you need to say, and then after they've done the preview, you roll on it, and that's very much like what we used to do in the studio. It's just we never had the control over the scripts. We never had to really worry about turning up and down our gain. according to how loud or softly we were speaking. Everything happened for us because we were spoiled babies.
And now the training wheels came off.
And
Is
now
that
the
what it
training
was?
wheels are off, and we were headed downhill real fast.
Right, really fast.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
But
oh,
go ahead, guys.
oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Dmitri.
I was gonna ask you, like, how did you get into the like voice acting? Like, how did you get into that kind of work? It's like in voice acting and stuff like that.
Entirely by accident.
Oh wow.
Like, okay, so when I went to college, I went to school for musical theater. And when I finished college, I realized that maybe I didn't want to do musical theater. That's okay.
Oh.
Like, I enjoy it. I like music. I've done musical theater. I did it. My last musical was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Wow.
Oh wow.
But yeah, I used to do musical theater, and that's what I went to school for. I sang. I'm not going to call myself a dancer, but I can give you a box step if I have to. And after I got done with like school, I decided that I wanted to learn a little bit more, not just about being on stage or in front of the camera as an actor, but also the other departments, which was something like I was kind of talking about before about the respect for engineers. I'd worked with a few other actors in my life, and some of them I didn't want to emulate some of their characteristics, which was I felt as though they weren't really appreciating the work that was going on around them. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I think actors can start to feel not most of the VO community is really just amazing, but like there are some actors that sometimes I'll call talent, and sometimes crew members will call the talent because they can become a bit spoiled.
Okay.
And they sort of feel like the show's about them, guys. Really. And they start getting impatient, and they start being like, okay, I'm going to tell this story. I was working on a show once. It was like a made-for-TV movie, and I was in this movie, and one of my co-stars, well, she was actually the lead in the film. I shouldn't say that. Oh well. But
we're already here.
I can't say any names or whatever. But she was in the film, and we were standing. It was a low budget film. Usually in higher budget shows, actors will have people who are called stand-ins, and what that's about is they'll come in, they'll stand in their spot on set while the actor is out getting their hair and makeup finished and getting those final touches on their wardrobe or whatever it is that they need to do. And so that person will stand in your spot for you while the crew is lighting the scene and making sure everything's set to go so that we can start rolling, right? So this was a lower budget film, so we didn't have stand-ins. So we were standing in our spots so that they could light the scene so that we could get going. This human being decided that she absolutely needed to take a selfie right now. So she which is like, all right, whatever, if you want to take a selfie. We're not filming, we're not rolling, it's whatever. Go ahead and take your selfie. But she takes out her phone and she starts wandering around the set trying to find the best lighting.
Oh goodness.
Her picture. And I'm like, ma'am, they're trying to light you now. So stand on your little X. I guarantee you're gonna get the best lighting for yourself.
Right.
So like I was like, I don't want to be the type of person who does not appreciate the work that's going on around me. So I started going and getting into like prop work and wardrobe and PA work and other stuff like on sets, and because I was really going for like film and television and stuff, right? And so I did that for a few years, and I was also like working in background as a background actor because I needed to eat food and live in a place in Los Angeles, and that's hard.
So I've heard, yeah.
Right?
It's
a lot. It's a lot. So I was doing a lot of that stuff, and I was making friends along the way. And one of my other friends that I met while I was in school, and we became like really close friends even today. He was also going actor, like on camera, on stage, and stuff like that. And after several years, he started to get kind of fed up with it. He wasn't really into the community and the scene. And we worked on one really horrendous musical together. And he was like, after that musical, he was like, I'm done. I'm not none of this anymore. And so, but he still wanted to be an actor. And he started getting into voiceover. And he was like, you know what? I'm starting to really like this. And he's like, Laura, I think you probably enjoy it too. He started suddenly like getting into anime just a little bit here and there. And he's like, this is really fun. I think I kind of want to keep going into this. He's like, you should try it. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I'd be good at it. And he's like, no, give it a shot. That friend of mine, his name is Kyle McCarthy. You might have heard of him. He plays Mob in Mob Psycho. He plays Mikazuki
Wow.
in Gundam Iron-Blooded
Okay.
Orphans. He plays Alm
That's
in
awesome.
Fire Emblem. He's all kinds of things. He does stuff, right?
Hey, he found his
I-
interest. That's
Hey, he
what's
plays
up.
Mob, man. That's cool.
Yeah,
Right?
he's doing
He's-
great.
He's don't tell him I said he's legit, but he's legit.
Gotcha.
I've known
It's our
him for
secret. We'll keep it a
years.
secret.
For over 10 years, we've been friends, and so far before either one of us was doing anything remotely like this. And so he introduced me to the idea of voiceover and voice acting. He introduced me to the first casting director that I ever met, which was Mami Okada over at Bang Zoom. He introduced me to some friends. Erica Mendez, he introduced me to her, and Lucian Dodge is her boyfriend, and Laura Post. And at the time, they were kind of getting together weekly, like hang out and read scripts together and work on creating character and reads and stuff together, just workshopping together to come up together. And I got to start going to some of those to hang out with them. And around that same time, they were about to start work producing the dub of Little Witch Academia.
Oh, wow.
And so because of that, they sent me my first audition, which booked me my first role on Little Witch Academia. And after that, I was able to like start networking with other studios and be like, I've had a little experience, you should try me out. And slowly but surely, I started getting little roles here and there and started getting to know more directors, more casting directors, more studios, more actors, and word of mouth grew. And now I can't stop doing this. That's how it happened. And I want to touch on to the side of this the question that you asked, which was, you know, how'd you get into it? Because I know that a big question for a lot of people is, how do I get into it? And I understand. And what I will say is, while this is going to be the very simplistic answer, is number one, there's no right way to do so, because obviously the way that I got into this was absolutely not official. I was sitting in the floor with my friends, reading scripts together, being silly and fun and creating characters and stuff, getting to know them, and they were already in the industry when they gave me my shot. So what I'm going to say is, when you don't know necessarily how to create your path, you start by educating yourself. So start by taking classes. Voice acting is acting first. 100%. A lot of people think that, oh, I like to do funny voices, so I can be a voice actor. Maybe, but just creating a funny voice doesn't mean that you can act and hold on to a scene and create a character and stay within that character and give believable performances. You can have a high-pitched squeaky voice or a low gravelly scary thunder voice all you want, but if you sound like you're reading off of a page rather than living in the moment, it's not gonna fly. So you start out with some acting classes, and you move on from there and get into more in-depth and specific classes, like voiceover classes, like video game read classes, like commercial read classes, like animation read classes, and things like that. And as you do that, you get to network with a bunch of people who are also interested in the same stuff you are, right? So, and I'm gonna remind, like, my first gig was not with like a teacher, it was with somebody who was looking at me like a peer. So, you know what I mean? So it wasn't, you don't necessarily have to worry about, like, I need to impress this teacher that I'm going to go and see. Pay attention to the people that you are working with. These peers are the people you're going to come up with together. I've gotten more than one job specifically off of getting to know people in class, or people hearing me within class, other people who were taking the class, having an opportunity to either introduce me to someone, or actually being a casting director for something, and I had no idea until afterwards, you know? So opportunity shows up from way unexpected places. But the first thing you want to do is get into the community itself. So that's taking classes. I bet you anything there are discords all based around it, you know?
Oh,
So,
100%.
right,
Yeah.
100%, 100%.
Definitely.
So you
Definitely.
can absolutely find your community, and you can find it online. So, and that's the great thing. Ugh. That's I guess the silver lining of COVID at the moment is that 99% of what's happening right now is happening online. So wherever you
For
are,
sure.
you can get started. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, definitely.
Yep.
Cool. So that's my big ol' answer to that question. That was
Hey, that's a great answer, Tristan. That's
Yeah.
a great answer.
Definitely.
And it's
Yeah.
funny. It's funny that you even already answered that, because that was gonna be something I was gonna ask. I was just gonna ask you, like, a lot of people just think, voice acting is you get behind the mic, you read off of this, and then you say some stuff back, and then that's it. And I always tell people, because I took film in college.
Mm-hmm.
That was my major.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to take acting for
Yes.
the pre-rec class.
Mm-hmm.
And I have so much respect for actors, and that was theater
Yeah.
I took. So it was even more of a respect, because they have to know the other person's lines, they have to know the blocking, where to come in. If somebody forgets their lines, they have to pick it up. They have to go over the lines and do readings, and it's just so much that goes into it.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine, like voice acting, because like when I even watch,
there are advantages and disadvantages to each different type of acting. I've worked on stage, I've worked on film, I've worked behind the microphone, so there are lots of different ways to differentiate between those things. I mean, the great thing about working on stage or working on film is you've got your scene partner there in front of you. You're in costume. You've got your set. You have basically the world laid out in front of you, so you can really immerse yourself in that moment, and you get to go straight through your scene and really listen and react in time, which is amazing. Here's the fun thing about anime, at least especially if you're recording anime in Los Angeles, because recording in LA versus recording in Texas, the style is very different. And and it's recording in Canada, their style is very different. I don't know the style necessarily in Canada, but I know there's a huge difference between Texas style and LA style. So, number one, you are in a box by yourself, wearing whatever you're wearing. I'm wearing like athletic shorts and a little t-shirt and a funny hat, and I'm just chilling, right? But I literally just got off of something that was like high fantasy, where everybody's like in big dresses, and I also played like a little boy who's like a peasant who's running around, and then I was a wailing, crying widow for a moment, and I'm just sitting here chilling like in my room. And I have to make this world for myself in my mind. I have to build it. Like, I've got it sitting in front of me like I'm watching a television screen, but I still have to try to immerse myself in it, which is a thing. And then on top of that, say you're doing like a nice long chunky monologue, and it's got like layers, and you've got a through line, and you have to get to this pinnacle where you're crying and all this other stuff that's going on. When you're recording in LA, you might do line by line by line. You don't necessarily get to have that emotional build. You have to create it within yourself and stay there in that emotional state, even if and even when you have to stop and wait and listen for the engineer to play with something and make sure something fits somewhere and what have you, and then you can move on to the next bit and still remain engaged in the scene.
Wow.
It can be
Oh, wow.
challenging.
Yeah,
I
I see.
That sounds like a lot.
Especially like if you're like in a really like emotionally heavy place and you're trying not to cry and you need to, but you have to stay engaged in kind of an uncomfortable mind space, right? And it's very easy to want to be like, I want to joke around and shake this off because I feel really
Right.
sad right now. We're like, no, stay there.
Or you got to be sad. So
But you also don't want to reach for it and belabor it because then people also won't believe you.
Yeah.
Like here, like Demetrius, ask me if I liked high school.
Do you like high school?
No. Ask me again.
Do you like high school?
No. Which one do you believe?
Definitely that's the second one.
You really? No, you did not.
I believe the first one.
Yeah,
I believe the first one because
Yeah,
I
that
know
was the first one.
Yeah,
that first one was real.
Look at you. Boy, just trying to play with me.
Hey, I was just trying to give you shots for that one.
I'm trying to make a point, and here he is. All right, it's fine. But like, it's finding your balance and
Gotcha.
being truthful in the moment, even in the midst of having to hurry up and wait and create your own world and be conscious of so many different things, and also try not to think at all. That's weird. A lot. Acting's a lot. Take a class. It's super fun.
You gotta have a wild imagination for sure.
Yeah.
You do. You definitely do. That's why I picked to be behind the camera.
and I picked to not do
level
it
of
all.
crazy. You want to do that.
I see.
Hey.
Hey, all you freaks and geeks out there, we are the Square Round Table. The Square Round Table podcast is brought to you by Science on a Postcard. Science on a Postcard is an online store that specializes in science-themed enamel badges, lanyards, environmentally friendly tote bags, notebooks, and lots more goodies that represent individuality and inclusivity in the scientific community. You could find all these wonderful products on scienceonapostcard.com. And for all our YouTube watchers out there, we will add their website and all their social media platforms in the description below.
But yeah, Laura, speaking about having to emulate the feelings of the of the character that you're trying to play in any media, have you ever had to cry on cue?
Yeah. I mean, yes, I have. Well, like, okay, I don't know. Have any of you ever did you see the most recent season of 7 Deadly Sins?
I saw a little bit of it.
Saw a little bit of it?
Yeah.
So the character that I play, her name is Gerard. And she's real cute. She's this little fairy. And she goes through it.
Okay, yeah.
She goes through it. Like, she was like the second season. And then she was in this most recent season. And we get to like know her and like her backstory and all this other stuff. And it's really fun. I really had a great time playing this character. But like I think it was the second session that I had with on this season. Like I walked in and the director, Chris Cason's like, all right, let's get started. And we started with the first loop. It was 3 minutes of sobbing.
Oh.
Just
no.
crying. And it was like, happy Monday, I guess. Like,
Right.
I guess I'm crying today.
I guess we're crying. What are we crying? Well, I don't know. It doesn't matter. We're crying. But like, it was like, it wasn't like solid. Like I didn't just sit there and cry for like 3 minutes straight. There were like different camera angles and different, like we were looking at different people who were watching my character cry, which was weird, and like having these moments and having to like match. It was really interesting because it's anime, so you have to match the sync and the rhythm and things. So having to match sobbing and having to match breathing when you're like crying, like and making sure that you're on the right moments.
That's crazy.
Is neat. But it's always funny when you're playing a character and there is an emotional moment and you don't expect to cry, and it starts and you're like, oh, I'm getting to this emotional place. I don't know if I should be crying yet, and like I'm like trying to hold it back. Like, oh, I feel feel like I shouldn't be crying it, and I'm like, it's interesting when you can allow yourself get into these spaces and how the work or the words or the characters affect you, because it'll sort of just kind of take you there. Like if you can like get out of your own way and not think too much and not worry too much about what people are looking at you or thinking or what have you, if you can just allow those moments to start and to happen, you can experience some very interesting moments.
That's pretty cool.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have
That's
definitely
amazing.
had to cry.
Well, once again, that's another thing. That's the mark of good writing, right there. You know,
Yeah.
you just get in, you get
Yes,
into the
definitely.
source material, and it's just like it. I guess it takes you there. Certain
Yeah,
points, you know?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I
Bring
was
that
working on
emotion.
a video game once, and I had one of those monologues that really just like got me. It was just like, well, here's my heart out on a platter, enjoy. And when we finally finished the scene, the director was like, all right, I think we should take a break. And I was like, okay, great. And I just laid down on the floor and cried.
Oh man.
For like a minute. I was like, I'll be ready. I'm okay. Just give me, I need a minute. And they're like, let's just give her a minute. It was they're like, really? She all the way on the floor.
She all the way.
She all the way. All right.
See if you need a break.
Like, we'll give you a
We'll
15
We'll give you a good
minute
5
emotional
minutes. Yeah,
breakdown,
we'll give you
so-
a good 5 minutes so you can gather yourself
Yeah.
together.
It's always exciting to be able to work on shows or on scripts in general that can really send you on a journey.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
how is that for audio books and narration? Like, is it the same sort of work that you have to put in, or do you get the same kind of feelings from like narrating, or how does that
Depending
work?
on the book, absolutely. I don't do a lot of audiobooks. I've only done like a couple here and there. My most recent ones were like for very small children. So, you know, talking about a family of chipmunks. Like,
That can get emotional.
necessarily is
Yeah, you
not
start
quite
crying.
family, but it was, you know, it's very sweet and fun and on, you know, all on its own. But absolutely, you can go on those journeys with audiobooks. Audiobooks take a special kind of patience because, you know, they can be long. They can be very long. Like audiobooks can range from like a half an hour length, like for a children's book, to 20 hours of finished audio. That's just you.
Just talking.
Just you talking, telling this whole story. Kyle used to do a lot of audiobooks. Kyle Mccarthy, I was talking about him earlier. And he had this system like down pat where he would create Excel sheets and he would read the books first and break them down, and he would find each character, and for each character he would create a little sound bite of whatever he was going to do for their character voice.
Oh wow.
And sometimes like you find these characters that'll show up in like the prologue or something, and then they don't come back until chapter 26, and you're like, who was this guy? I don't know. And
Who are you?
figure out like, what did he sound like? Okay, here we go. And then he'll, you know, go back into it. But for every hour or so of finished audio on an audiobook, it takes at least 2 per of you just sitting there reading, right? So if you've got a 20-hour audiobook, you're sitting in a chair or standing in your booth reading for 40 hours.
Oh,
That
man.
happened.
That
And then
is
after
crazy.
that,
Dedication right there.
there's a
I'm
lot.
telling you.
It's a whole lot. All on your lonesome. So you're like, you're not playing off anybody. You don't have anybody there to joke with. You just got text and you trying to live. And then after that, a lot of audiobook narrators, depending on the studio, depending on the gig that they've got, sometimes they're editing their own stuff. So not only did they sit through the 40 hours it took to read their 20-hour book, they are sitting there and listening to themselves read it back so they can remove all the mistakes and make sure they covered everything.
Oh, editing it, that must be murder.
man.
That's
Oh
gotta
my
be
gosh.
crazy.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, I
If
don't
you
do
mess
many
up,
audiobooks.
if you mess up, you gotta do the whole thing from the beginning. Like, oh no.
Ooh.
Yes.
No.
Mm.
Yes. So I have lots and lots of respect for people who do audiobooks specifically for a living. That is, once again, a special kind of patience. For real.
Definitely.
I bet that's got to be crazy. Do you have a specific like process, like when you did do audiobooks, like did you kind of do like you talked about with finding certain characters and marking them off to remember them later on in the book? Did you bring a pillow
I'm
with
not
you?
nearly as organized as
You did bring a pillow.
Like something,
I'd be
'cause I
like,
would-
let's go, nothing can go wrong. And like I've only done a couple of audiobooks, and luckily if it was like a longer one, I was actually working with another engineer who was in the room with me, and
okay.
he would be kind of listening and paying attention, and would be like, you missed that word, you gotta go back. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And so that was really lucky for me. And then
That's what's
again,
up.
like the books that I've done recently have been very short, and I've been able to finish them in a day, and
that's good.
because they've been
Yeah.
for children, and which is really sweet and kind of fun. Like it's reading, it's just reading stories to kids. So I'm like, yeah, I can get my mind around that for a day, sure.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
That's
I
what's
don't
up.
know if I can go for like some sort of Game of Thrones epic.
Oh no.
I can't even
That's
sit
too
and read
long.
that for pleasure.
Yeah.
Just saying,
Right.
like,
Right.
I probably can't
Don't-
even listen to it.
Don't get me wrong here. Like I love reading. It was a problem when I was growing up. I used to get in trouble in school. I'd bring like 5 or 7 literal like novels. I'd stuff them in my backpack around
Oh,
my
wow.
textbooks, and then like I'd go to math class, and don't do this, children. Like, I'd go to math class, and like the teacher would be speaking and giving a lecture, and she'd be like, all right, so this is what we're covering today, and she would write out all the notes on the board, like this is what we're going to talk about. And so I would take down all the notes, and then she would go over it with the class, and she'd like start talking about anybody who have questions, so this is what this means, and so this is what that means. And if like I take down the notes already, I'm like, I understand what she's talking about here. And it's going to take her a bit to move on to the next section. So I'm going to just go get my book and just start reading in class and just not pay attention. And she'd be like, Laura, huh? What are you doing? Reading? I'm teaching PEMDAS right now. Are you kidding? I'm like, I already got it down in my notes. Like, why are you mad? I was that child.
Get off my back, bro.
It's okay. You're not the only one. I got actual detention for drawing in class because they told us we couldn't do that because it was like a distraction. And I had to like have served detention like after school, and I was so mad, but it was worth it because I got to do my little comic strip.
Yeah.
See?
It
All
really
matters.
hurts when like schools will like squash people's creativity. This is what we need in the world right now. Are you kidding?
Exactly.
Definitely.
Telling
The
you.
more creativity, the better.
For real. Like, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't have the same experience. I had the pleasure of going to a performing arts school, so that kind of
Hey,
stuff.
ooh.
We were,
Wait, though, because I went to a
Mr.
performing arts
This
school.
guy.
This guy did. I went
It's
to
a
a
performing
better high
art.
school than you guys because I went to one where I could draw in class.
See, that's not even.
yeah.
I went to the high school that I went to 2 different high schools. I went to a college preparatory for the first 2 years, and then I went to a performing arts charter school for the second 2 years. And that was a trip.
Was it fun? Did you enjoy it?
I did, like, to an extent, but like the school itself, no, number one, the school no longer exists, which should tell you something.
Yeah.
It was sort of like if you took the movie Fame and the book Lord of the Flies and put it together.
That's a horrible.
Wow.
That's
What in the world?
Yeah, we didn't have a lot of supervision. We kind of got to run our own lives, which was maybe not the best thing for a bunch of high schoolers to go and do, who were like who were so excited to be creative and all of this stuff. Like,
Right.
I got good grades. I'll put that there. I got good grades. I was the salutatorian, which is the second in line for the valedictorian.
Okay.
So not quite the best, but the best-ish.
Best-ish. That's cool. We rock with best-ish.
Yes,
I was
I
like,
was
we
there.
rocking with it.
Not quite, but like, you know, so I got solid grades, but like, I could get away with things. Like because I was part of the theater department, right? So if I was bored in class and in the class board, like I could raise my hand.
Oh my God.
Hey. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'd like raise my hand. I'm like, I'm sorry, I gotta go help build set. And they're like, oh, okay, go ahead. So I just leave, and I would go to the stage manager's office, where there would always be a game of Halo going.
I'm telling you. See,
That just brought back some memories.
That's how the art department was. I do the same thing. Get out of class. Like, we got to go design such and such. Sit in the art room all day doing nothing, playing guitar, video games, all of it. Like, yes. Look, all performing art schools are the same. No supervision whatsoever.
So like, as long as you have a handle on your studies, as long as you're getting your stuff in, as long as you understand and grasp the subjects in front of you,
right?
Freedom is okay.
Freedom is okay.
Freedom of expression.
Just don't be stupid with it.
Right.
Exactly.
You can be
smart with it.
You can be very stupid with it, definitely. So looks for all our viewers on YouTube and all of our listeners on Power 214. Please, go to school, stay in class. Don't skip, especially if you're in a performing arts school. Don't make up fake excuses.
Don't be stupid, guys.
Although I do want to say, like, if there are younger listeners out there, like, listen, I understand especially right now. School, learning, everything, it's a whole new ball game. Everything is different. Everything is weird. There's a lot of struggling going on for the teachers, for the parents, for the students, for everybody. It is nuts out there right now. And I do want to put this out there because I was actually back and forth with a fan of mine who was like kind of feeling really low, and I wanted to say this, like, if you're struggling at the moment with your subjects, if you feel like if you are failing at something, if something's going on, if you're having trouble, please don't judge yourself for that. This 2020 does not count right now. Like, it's so crazy, it's so difficult, and even if you've struggled and it wasn't 2020 or what have you, it doesn't mean that you're stupid to struggle. It doesn't mean that you're not good enough or that you're not intelligent if you're having difficulty in class. Absolutely not. And it is okay. It is okay to reach out for help from your classmates, from tutors, from the teachers, from your parents. It is okay. There is no shame in needing help with your studies. There is no shame in having difficulty with what you're working on. It does not mean you're dumb. It doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means that you have a different way of learning that hasn't been tapped into yet. That's all. Sorry, I got hype about that.
Man.
No, that's what you need to tell.
But I was
to tell everybody like that.
Right? It's so important. I think, like, especially kids right now, like, it's been so crazy, and it's so easy to get down on ourselves, especially, like, we can't connect with our friends, we can't go out and, like, vent with them, you're stuck at home, you can't, like, there's so many things that aren't available. There's so many things that you're not allowed to do, which makes you want to do them even more, right?
Yes.
So especially for, like, the younger generation, especially for people whose, like, hormones are going crazy, like, this is hard. This hurts.
Yeah.
It's difficult, and we're mad, and there's nowhere to go with it. There's nothing to do with it, and you can't expend that energy. So it's okay to slip up here and there. It's okay if things aren't going exactly right. You're not a disappointment. You're not stupid. You are absolutely worthy. You should be here. It's all right. That's all. Like, that's like my thing.
Awesome.
So thank you for allowing me to say that. I'm sorry.
Oh, that had
no.
Like, everybody has to hear that, because there are a lot of kids out there that are thinking that they're not the smartest because they struggle.
Mhm.
And you know, we all struggle, and
Mhm.
but you can overcome your struggles if you just work and dedicate to the, you know, to the craft and whatever you're doing,
Yeah. And it is,
and get the
like I
help.
said before, it is absolutely acceptable and okay, and actually a strength to recognize when you need help and to call for it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Definitely.
Nobody's gonna think you're not smart if you ask for help. Like,
And if they do,
Yeah.
they have something going on inside. It's
Yes.
not a
Yeah.
reflection on you. If somebody comes out at you
No.
and tries to say something at you about that, if they're nasty to you, or if they start attacking you for it, that is an internal problem for them, babe.
yeah,
It's nothing on you.
100%.
Just because you're
Exactly.
trying to better
Yeah.
yourself and they want to
Yeah.
tear you down now, I'm sorry, that's something messed up over there. It has nothing to
Exactly.
do with you.
Yeah.
their own stuff to work out.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Exactly. Help.
We
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
appreciate you for saying that. Oh, go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, Laura.
Oh, go ahead, man.
Do some of the personalities and some of the remarks that your characters say in their in your voice dialogue and whatnot have any personal effect on your own life or given you any more clarity in any situations that you might go through?
Yeah. How much of the Promised Neverland have y'all seen? Have you seen?
I've seen the whole thing.
All of it.
All of
All of
it.
it?
The
Okay.
whole
These
thing.
guys.
All right.
I've been
we've
itching to talk
waiting.
about that since we
We've been
started.
waiting.
So.
Okay. So like y'all, there might be spoilers. I'm sorry.
Plug your
Okay.
ears, man, because we gonna
Sorry.
talk.
Just alert for your listeners. Alert for your listeners.
Spoiler alerts all the
Spoiler
way
alert.
through this thing.
Jump, go, fly. All right.
See that fly.
When I was recording that show, especially towards the last few episodes, when things get really, really heavy, like when we're losing Norman, and when I think a lot of Ray's like inner darkness and turmoil starts really coming to the surface, I myself was going through a very, very difficult time. Was that the same time? I think it was. I'm trying to remember, but it was around when I was ending a relationship, a long relationship, like 13 years.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so like it was like a long, like it ended okay, and it was really peaceful.
Okay.
We still care about each other as friends. We're not, it just wasn't right. It wasn't compatible. It was done.
Gotcha.
It had run its course. And I mean, but I'd been in this relationship for like my entire adult life and a little beforehand, basically, right? Like,
Mhm.
I'm
Right.
dating myself by this, like, 13 years. That's a lot of a person.
That's a lot of a person.
That is a lot of
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of personhood, right?
Yeah.
That is
Completely.
a lot
Lot
to
of
go
secrets.
through with someone.
Yes.
And I was really feeling very low, and I was very scared myself of like what was going to happen next. I hadn't been, like, I was working on The Promised Neverland and I think a few other shows, but like certain shows were ending that I had been on for long standings. Like I think around the same time that Promised Neverland was ending, I was finishing recording my first season of Beyblade Burst Turbo. Well, the only season of Beyblade Burst Turbo, but my first season of Beyblade.
Yeah.
And that was my very first lead role. And that show had lasted about a year, and it was coming to an end. And TPN was coming to an end, and I was like, I don't know what's going to happen next. What if I don't get booked on anything else? What if I never work again? I've just lost this relationship. What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? Who am I going to live with? What am I going to think? All of this stuff was going on. And Ray was just alone. That was the big crux of Ray, is that ever since he was very, very, very small, he has felt alone. There are people he cares about, but he had to do everything by himself. And we're going to circle back to my other point, never knew how to ask for help. He felt like he could not. He felt like there was nobody that he could talk to and ask for help. And the only reason that he instigated this whole thing and got things started was because he was coming up on the end for himself. Right?
Yeah.
Whether he
Yeah.
wanted to or not.
Right.
Birthday 12 was coming.
He
Yep.
did everything
No.
for the fact of just trying to make it to birthday 12. So
Birthday
he wouldn't
12.
get shipped off before that time.
Yeah, he did
Yep.
everything he could to make sure that he and the people he cared about, at the very least, the people he cared about, could make it, right? And he
Yeah.
was okay with
Exactly.
sacrificing himself. He was all right with it. He was
Yeah.
he made peace with that. And he was like, I've done terrible things, so to answer for those things, this is what I will do to make sure that these people can go be safe. And that happened because he felt alone. He felt like he had to shoulder it all on his own. And that's where I was at the time. That's absolutely where I was. I was like, I have to do everything. I don't know who to talk to. I don't know where to turn to. I don't know what to do. And I feel like I have to hold all of this for myself. And I had other friends who were going through their things. And I was like, well, I better be there for them. Meanwhile, my heart is bleeding over there in the corner dying. And I'm like, no, it's okay. Tell me your problems again. Like,
Right. Exactly.
I was not doing myself a service by making sure everybody else was cool while I was on fire.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term.
Right. No, I get it.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, and then seeing what happened when his friends came through for him in the end, in spite of his own self-sabotage.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, was really moving for me. So
No, it was. Yeah.
yeah. So I was like,
Definitely.
I don't, you know. But he's like so cool, so he can't like, he's not like weeping in the floor or whatever. He's just like, he's got so much more poise. He's so much cooler than I'll ever be.
Like he was just like, yeah, you'll never know that I'm crying on the inside. Like I'm just in the back just chilling, you know.
He had
the whole time.
some moments. He had some moments where the tears almost came. That hug from Norman, that goodbye hug.
Yeah.
Where he didn't want to.
There were tears in my eyes. I was crying.
Where he didn't want to see him, and then he showed up at the end. I was like, oh no. Like I was like, nah, not my dude Norman.
Dad, just God, my heart. Why?
My heart.
Like why, man?
How dare you?
Right?
Well, hey, it really came through though. Like, and like I said, that's a big part of the writing. You know, the voice acting with all the characters, Emma, you know, Norman, and you know, especially Ray. Like you guys did an amazing job.
Yes, you did.
Absolutely. I'm so privileged to have gotten to work with such a team, because everybody who was on board with that show, because as far as I know, we're gonna do the next season. But I'm
ready for it. So
I'm already hyped. I'm like, come on, bring it on.
But as far as I know, but everybody was so attached to the show. Everybody really cared about how it was going to come out. Everybody really took care with what they were doing to make sure that it could be the best possible product that it could be, and best possible story that it could be. I think that Erica Mendez did a phenomenal job adapting the script. She took elements from the manga. She absolutely took from the translation. I think she 100% moved the vision of the original creators into an English-speaking format in a really seamless way, and that is not easy to do, as I have discovered adapting myself. So I will always admire her for that.
That's cool. How long have you been adapting the source material?
A little bit over a year now. I started on a couple of Lupin, the third movies.
Really?
That are available on Amazon. You can go find
Amazing.
them there. And then after that, I adapted. Are you ready for this title?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Fate, Grand Order, Absolute Demonic Front, Babylonia.
Oh my God.
That's a lot.
That is a mouthful.
Wow.
That's a whopper of a title.
Yeah. You gotta like shorten that.
And like that was really fun because Fate has its own really dedicated fan base, so I was really excited to get to play in that, and it was really cool to work with the mythology of it all, because Fate often pulls from mythology from all over the world and real historical figures and stuff, and they'll turn them into fun anime characters, and they'll use those characteristics and those backstories and weave them in. And that was a lot of fun to work with, and very strange, but fun.
Yeah.
So I did that one, and then most recently, was there anything between that? I don't think so. Yeah, no, that was like 26 episodes. Okay, I don't know where I am anymore. And at the moment, I'm adapting Misfit of Demon King Academy, which is on Crunchyroll. It's currently coming out right now. There's, I think, 4 episodes out.
Oh, so it came out this season?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
coming out right now. It's on its way out. There are a few episodes out. There's gonna be, I think 13 are out in the sub, and I think like 4 or 5 or something are out in the dub currently. That will obviously have changed by the time you air this, but yeah. So I'm working on that one, and then something else that I absolutely cannot tell you about. So I'm sorry.
Ah, darn. You got to keep everything secret.
My heart.
I'm sorry.
She's like,
It's
I'll
okay.
tease it though. I'm like, I'm working on something, but I can't tell you guys. That's all I can do for you.
It's like something else is happening. It's a secret. Nobody knows.
Well, you know what? It's okay. We're not gonna hold it against you. It's all right.
Thank you.
Exactly. We understand.
But
sometimes.
yeah, definitely. Before we continue, I just wanted to take the time out just to thank you really for opening it up to us so far, because a lot of what you've been talking about with education and just kids dealing with COVID-19 right now, and even how you found solace with Ray when you were going through what you were going through in your personal life, and you know how you found a positive way to handle that. Like, we're so big on education and mental health here at the Square Round Table, and we just want to, as a collective, thank you so much for opening it up to us. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much.
Definitely.
You guys have been fantastic. I'm having a good time. And
Right.
we have
Us too.
Yeah, we're all.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
But,
You're welcome.
but yeah, Laura, before we wrap everything up,
Mhm.
do you have any advice for any people that might want to get into voice acting? Like anything more specific, or just pretty much what you said earlier?
I mean, a lot of what I said earlier is gonna be really key for you. One thing I will say is, and this is a little bit more philosophy kind of for y'all, but when you consider the idea of success, right? Just the word success. A lot of people will put a lot of like provisos of what that means to them. It's like, what's success to you? That's being an anime voice actor. That's voicing in like 3 or 6 lead roles and really cool anime. That's having a 2-hour long line of autographs at my autograph table someday. That's being Twitter famous or whatever. Like all of
Right.
these, they'll make these very like external goals, right? And they said, I'm gonna go and get that. I want that. Here's the issue with that is that success is never ever gonna look exactly the way that you planned it to, the way that you expect it to. There's always gonna be something else that's gonna kind of change and move things around for you. And it's very possible that what actually shows up for you will be tailor-made and better than what you were imagining for yourself.
For sure.
Number 1. And then number 2,
Yeah.
as you continue to hit those goalposts that you're setting for yourself, I'm gonna tell you this, your feeling of something being far away and outside is not gonna change. What's going to change is the goalpost. So if you set the goalpost as, I want to be in an anime. All right, well, you've been in an anime, you got like a background character or something, or like an incidental or something, you've been in an anime. Well, now I want to be like a bigger character in an anime. All right, now you're playing like a henchman or something of a bad guy, and you're in a couple more episodes. Well, now I want to be a good guy, and I want to be this. And then you get that, but then suddenly you want something else. So it's always crawling away from you. And you're always kind of feeling empty and like you have to catch up to it. And it doesn't feel good. So the deal is, and the big secret, which is very difficult, and I know that some people are going to hear this and completely dismiss it and think it's trash, and then some people will hopefully like take it to heart. Success is internal. Success is a feeling that you create inside. You can be successful and never have touched an anime yet, because you know you started in the direction of living your life the way that you want to. And you can feel good knowing that you started making those choices. Right?
Yes.
Right.
Success
Yes,
is an
absolutely.
internal thing. And like, I'm gonna remind you, like, I went to school for musical theater, y'all. I'm not doing that no more. One could say, if you're sitting from the outside, like, that she failed. I went to school. I was auditioning for on-camera stuff. I wanted to be in a sitcom. I wanted to be in the movies. I wanted to be on camera. I want people to know my face and know my name.
Right.
That's not the case. I can go to the grocery store and nobody know who I am.
Well, we would.
Well, I
Yeah.
appreciate
Definitely.
Yeah, we should
like
know.
I'm cool with the fact that nobody knows who I am, and I'm okay with the fact that not many people are gonna know my face until I like maybe go to like an anime convention. Sometimes people will recognize me, not always, but like I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay as I am.
Mhm.
I'm more than okay as I am. I'm so grateful for what I've got going on, and
That's awesome.
Yeah.
thank you. But it's like, this is not what I was aiming for. This was not the plan at all. I hadn't even thought of being an anime voice actor when I was in school for performing arts. I watched some anime. I loved Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, of course, classic.
Right?
Classic.
That's a classic.
Classic.
Yes.
Stampede,
Yes.
and
Yes.
like
Classic.
yeah, and like anything Miyazaki, I loved. Like
Okay.
I liked anime. I wasn't like deep into it, but I liked anime. But I was like, I didn't even think about people voice acting. I didn't think about it at all. It was not the plan. But I would not trade at all.
That's awesome.
You know?
It is
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So what I'm saying is, be open to success leading you to where you really need to be.
Mhm.
First off, give voice
Right.
acting a shot if you want to. Start out, if you're really beginner, start out just reading aloud. Much of voice acting, even though they'll send you the script maybe a day beforehand, you're cold reading. You don't know what's coming up for you. I was lucky when Erica told me, like, read the manga. You have to, or else I'm gonna beat you up. And I was like, okay. But like, you don't always know. Sometimes you're under NDA. Sometimes you're on a project. They don't even tell you what it is called until you walk in the door, or until you start your session. They're like, guess what?
wow.
You're this. Or even you start the session, they don't tell you what you want. What am I doing? I
Oh
don't know.
wow.
If it's a video game, they won't tell you sometimes.
Wow.
You
Who
just
am
gotta
I? Don't worry
guess.
about it. Okay.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
You got it. Like, just die a couple of ways for me, all right? Just okay.
Just
let's-
die a couple
Right.
ways.
Just follow us.
Just die a couple ways.
Sometimes,
Okay.
like sometimes you just don't know. So if you would really like to get into this, what you want to get comfortable with is just reading out loud anything, and be able to get through it and be able to be smooth about it and get your mouth around it. And then of course the acting classes, and then find out like what other niches you might want to be in. Because like anime, I'll also tell you this, y'all. Anime is probably the worst paid acting gig for a voice actor.
Wow.
It is the worst paid. I am not rich. I have roommates because I can't afford to live on my own. I am not like, I don't drive a Tesla. My phone is 2 years old. Like, I'm not a baller. Like, this is just me. Hi y'all. Like, you don't get rich off of anime. You don't get rich off of going to conventions. That's not how that works. That's not why you get into this job. If you would like to make more money, you get into commercials. Commercials is where money
Oh wow.
is. Commercial is absolutely where your money is.
I
You do
heard that a
commercial,
lot.
you
I've
do
heard
promos,
that a lot.
like TV programs. Coming up next, we have here on the Disney Channel, stuff like that. Like
That's what makes the money.
that's
Wow.
money because
That's where your
they're
money's
turning
at.
that over
Yeah,
like
that's crazy.
that's where the money is. But like anime is not where your cash flow comes from usually at all. So check out other venues of voiceover if you want to get into voiceover. Try animation. Try interactive. That's the video game stuff. Try promos. Try commercial. I know a lot of people who really love reading commercials because they like to break it down and figure out what it, what's the hook? What are we getting into? It can actually be really fun for a lot of people. So give it a shot. You'll be surprised at what you could be into. I also didn't expect to be an ADR writer. I didn't expect to adapt scripts at all. I'm really enjoying it now, but that wasn't the
That's
plan
awesome.
either. I was like, I'm an actor and I'm only an actor. Nope.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
that's
but-
cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just be open and be flexible and say yes to opportunities that you don't expect. Say yes to opportunities that you don't think are going to lead you in the direction you want to go.
Wow.
Because
Definitely.
you'll be surprised at what will happen.
Awesome. Just like my mom always says, never say what you won't do. Like just like 'cause you just never know.
Definitely.
Like you
Yeah,
just never
Never
know.
say never, man.
Yeah.
No,
Just be open.
seriously.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But
But that's great you said that, Laura, because this is so many,
Yeah.
and even me, going into it just from an outsider, you have no idea. Because, I'm thinking, like you said, everybody's in the booth with the big head, and they're just like, well, what's my motivation? Like, what do I have to, I didn't know that they're just like, hey, I'm not telling you what you're doing, but you got to do it. So that's just what it is.
Like usually
That's
they'll at least
crazy.
they'll give you enough to go on. Like you're being chased by a monster and you have to try to stay quiet or else they're gonna find you. Like they'll give you context, absolutely.
Okay.
But like if you're it depends. Like it really depends. Like and honestly I don't have a lot of experience with those really, really high end games because I in fact don't have an agent. I've done all of the work
Oh,
that
wow.
I got via word of mouth.
Oh.
So in case you were curious if that was possible, it is. It's possible to do. And I would like to have an agent at some point, but I currently don't even have time to go after one and pursue one. So like, I'm lucky. That's cool. That's
Because you're
great, but,
killing
like,
it.
Yeah.
Because you're
Yeah,
Okay,
right?
like,
You
You're
really
I would
are.
also like to read for some of those roles that you cannot actually even go out for until an agent is able to knock on that door for you. Like I can't really go
Oh,
out
wow.
for like Cartoon Network stuff or Nickelodeon or some of the
Oh.
higher end Disney things. I can't touch them because that only goes to agencies. So that's a
Wow.
limit for me. Like that I would love to change, but as of right now, this is where I am at. So I don't get to have a lot of those experiences where it's like super, super, super secret. But that can exist. That can be a thing. And also like anime, you're only recording on your own. I don't know necessarily how much people are doing like the Prelay animation, which is the Western style animation. Usually when there is not COVID, you have all your actors in the booth together and you're reading it sort of like a radio play. I think people are doing that remotely, but it would be difficult to do. For sure.
Oh, because usually, so for Western, so that's like a big difference between like Western animation and then like anime dubbing. So you guys aren't in a room together at all, but Western animation, everybody's doing a table read.
Because the
together.
big difference is like in anime, for the most part, I'm not going to say every time because sometimes things are coming out in very strange ways, but for the most part, when you are doing anime, all of the animation is finished. That's why you have to dub it because the lip flaps and stuff already exist. So you have to try to match those because they're there already. But for Western style animation, they are animating to your performance. So you read the whole script, you do the whole thing first, and then they send those performances to the illustrators, and the illustrators put the show together around it.
Well, see, that's kind of gangster though. Y'all are very gangster because y'all got to literally like
that's crazy.
time it perfectly to some animation that already exists.
It already exists.
That's an extra level of a.
It is.
That's some talent right there.
It
That's
is
talent.
definitely a skill to put together. Oh yeah, that's the difference between. I didn't touch on this, but the difference between recording anime in LA versus in Texas. LA will often just go loop by loop by loop, line by line by line. Maybe you'll do 2 or 3 in a row if they're close together. In Texas, often they'll let you watch down the whole scene and then they'll let you go. And you'll chase the entire scene and have
That's
to try
crazy.
to match sync for a 2 or 3 minute scene or 30 or 40 second scene. And that is a completely different skill all by itself. And then the engineers will, of course, move things around and make sure everything fits where it needs to go. So it's a really very different, whole different scenario. In LA, a lot of people, the argument is we'll go line by line by line because we really want to make sure that every lip flap and movement and hitch, and which is like a pause and what have you, is honored and taken care of.
Right.
And in Texas, while they still care about those things for the most part, they are far more interested in making sure that the performance feels fluid and connected, you know, so that the scene, you can really feel the arc of the scene. Their argument is if you're just going line by line by line, you'll really get a disconnect between each one because they have to set up for each and every one, and they feel like that's more time consuming and that can take an actor out of a moment. So it's a give and take.
It's a give and take.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and there are lots and lots of arguments for either side, and I think that's fascinating.
Yeah,
So the Promised Neverland was done loop by loop.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Oh,
And it's
wow.
funny because like a lot of the times, especially when watching Promised Neverland, it's like I forget that there's the originals in Japanese. So it's just like, and I was amazed by watching it. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, oh yeah, you're welcome. But it comes out so well. Like I said, y'all did amazing.
It really
killed it.
We wouldn't know that that's what y'all go through at all because we just like, hey, it just flows so smoothly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At all.
They do a good
We
job picking up the
take
blips.
our hats off to y'all, definitely.
Sir.
Yes.
Aw, thank you.
Oh yeah,
So-
but yeah, Laura, talking about the technicals
Mm-hmm.
in the studio and whatnot, you mentioned earlier about writing an ADR and also an NDA. What do those acronyms stand for? ADR.
NDA is a non-disclosure agreement. That means you cannot tell people what. Sorry, I have to do a thing. Sorry, everybody. Hey.
You good?
Sorry, everything is going crazy right now for me. Non-disclosure
good?
agreement means that you promise to keep the secret.
Okay.
Right.
An ADR. Let me look that up real quick, just because I'm like, I don't remember.
It is okay. We understand.
I'm so tired. Post-sync automated dialogue replacement. Yes, rolls right off the tongue,
okay.
right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
There you go. Right. Super
it's
easy.
Post-sync automated dialogue replacement. That actually happens in everything you watch, just about. Any live action stuff, quite often, if something's happened when they're on set, especially if they're on location or something, and something happened with the sound, they'll bring their actors back in so that they can dub over themselves. And sometimes, if their actors are too expensive, they'll find people who can voice match them.
Yeah, I think
Oh wow.
they did that with Hugh Jackman and Logan. He came back and re-recorded the sounds of him grunting. He would come running through the forest.
He came like running and stuff, and they did that. They did the behind the scenes with that. Yeah, he absolutely did that. But there are definitely some celebrities who either are too busy, their schedule is too conflicted, so they can't come back in, or they are very, very expensive, and they don't want to ask them to come and do that. And they will find people. There are people who absolutely specialize in voice matching certain celebrities. I am not one of those people.
Right.
But I think that's so cool.
It is. That is cool.
No, it's really dope. And for a lot of our viewers out there and listeners, that's one thing that happened because we're big on Mortal Kombat. They did that for Arnold Schwarzenegger. So that's not actually him. So yeah, that kind of stuff is way too expensive. So.
They were like, let me go get my guy. I know a guy that can sound like him. Let me go get him real quick.
Yeah, there are people who are specifically represented by their agents as matches for these people. And then there are some that are like connected to that celebrity or what have you, and they're like, this is my voice match. If you want to use him, go ahead.
That's pretty cool.
Or them, go ahead, or whatever.
That's
Like,
a cool job. That's
what a
pretty
Yeah.
cool.
right?
It is.
It is.
It's like, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm another person.
Oh,
I'm
really?
Logan.
I just sound like Tom Hanks. Like,
Right.
Oh,
okay.
Like,
Like yeah, on the weekends I do a Denzel and then I go do
right.
right.
Maybe like as
It's-
as quiet as it's kept, like Laura Stahl is actually like Tom Hanks a lot of the time. You know?
yes. Can you not hear it? Like, we're the same.
Right.
We're
Exactly. I can hear it right now.
Totally the same.
But yeah,
But,
Laura. Oh, go ahead, Josh.
yeah, Laura. How hard is it to, voice match a male character that you're portraying?
I like how difficult is it to create a male sound when I'm
Is
acting?
it hard on your
Right.
voice?
No, because of luckily because of vocal training, I understand what placement is and where to put things. And honestly, the placement, like the deep sound, like if I'm playing like Ray or something, right? Or if I'm Iger, which is a little bit more forward and like super aggressive, right? That has to do. That's
Yes.
I'm placing it down in my lower register. I'm engaging like my chest and my diaphragm, but it has a lot less to do with that placement and far more to do with speech pattern when you're working with the fluidity of gender, if we're gonna call it that.
Right.
Because I mean, male characters can be like very small. They can have a higher pitched voice, but they can still be boyish. They can here, like, let me see. So say if I'm speaking down here, but I'm still kind of sounding like a female person because my speech is sort of flowing. It kind of connects from one to the other. It's more of a feminine sound. But if I start being a little bit more staccato and I really like land on the end of my note, on the end of my words, and they kind of come out a little bit more aggressive, it changes the tone and kind of becomes a little bit more masculine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
I'm just gonna like say me, Dimitri's, Josh, we're kind of fangirling out right now. I'm
Yes,
not
yeah. He's like
I'm
doing the
trying
little
to
voice
hold
act. I'm just holding it together.
Boy, oh boy.
Man, because that's just amazing.
I'm like, oh my
All
god.
That
Like,
was dope.
But that's
that was
awesome.
amazing. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
it's if for people who are like practicing at home, especially like feminine people who are trying to play more masculine characters, if that's something that you're aiming for, if you start feeling things hurt, if you're making a sound and it starts to make you cough, that's not a healthy place for that sound, and you'll want to find a new placement. Studying singing helps because that vocal placement, it's all the same stuff. Speaking and singing, you're using the same parts of your body to do them, right?
Right.
So you can place down in your chest. You can place a little bit closer to your mask. You can aim up higher into your nose and your head, right? All of that's available to you. And if you really want to get into voice acting and creating voices to match the characters that you're trying to portray, it's good to know healthy vocal placement so that you can sustain those things for up to 4 hours at a time, because voice sessions can last up to about that amount of time. And you know, sometimes it doesn't just mean that you're sitting there talking. You have to be able to sustain that while you're crying, while you're laughing, while you're screaming, while you're whispering, while you're in pain, while you're tied up. All of those things, you have to be able to stay within that sound and still manipulate it and move around within it and act on top of it. But start with the acting first.
I was about to say, right, that's crazy. So basically, like what you're saying, like education and training is definitely important, or you can hurt yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I will say also, because I know I'm saying this a lot, I'm talking about taking classes and training and stuff a lot. And I also know that especially in 2020, funds are tight, right? I get it. I get it. I understand it. And I'm a very big proponent of making art and expression available to everybody, no matter your economic status. I know what it's like to not have money. I know what it's like to think about, like, all right, I'm down to this amount. If I pay rent, what am I eating? Like, I know,
Right,
I
right.
know what that feels like. I absolutely do. If you are not in a position to start investing in classes, it is okay. The first thing that I would say is go to YouTube. I'm assuming you have internet because you're paying attention to this podcast. So if you can go to YouTube and you can YouTube acting classes. You can YouTube voice acting classes. You can YouTube voice actors. There are so many whole master classes and workshops and stuff that are just chilling on YouTube for free. They're just there. I don't know if you've ever heard of this person, Uda Hagen. She's no longer with us. She invented improv.
Wow.
She is known as the
I'll have to look her up.
inventor of improvisation. She has
That's awesome.
classes that were recorded and are just chilling up on the internet.
See,
Just
go
on
check
YouTube.
that out.
You can check those
Yeah,
out.
go check
Absolutely.
that out.
Also, you said that you're a director and you went to film school. That's excellent. If you're interested in those things, go to
There's
Google or
plenty.
go to YouTube. There are
Yep.
symposiums
Plenty.
about cinematography. There are master classes about writing, about screenwriting, about acting, about voice acting, about commercials, about singing. All of this information is available. It is available and it is free if you search for it.
Yep.
But
I
you
was
gotta
just
search.
watching
You
some
gotta
the
go out
other
there and
day.
get it.
Right? You can start. You can absolutely start
Yep.
before you ever invest a penny outside of your internet connection or you can do it all on your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. But these new
All you can
things called
figure out on
iPhones,
phone.
you can definitely
You can make this
100%.
happen.
Exactly.
It's difficult, sure. Are there obstacles? Yes. And I will also
But
say
it's
for the Black
doable.
community, can it be more difficult? Yes, I will not lie. I will
That's a
not
big
lie.
one.
I will say that because I'm pretty passing. My hair it looks like white girl hair today because I got it done recently and she blew it out because she got so excited. But like it's curly, I promise. But I am quite passing, and I know that got me into spaces that I might not have necessarily gone to. And I make it absolutely my business to advocate against colorism. I make it absolutely my business to advocate for people of color in media, in voice acting. It is 100% on my list of things to talk about. I talk about it often. I am loud about it. And I will continue.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
I love it.
And I
I
will
That's
say,
amazing.
is it rough sometimes? It can be. It can be. But it does not mean that you cannot do it.
That's
I am
right.
here. There are others who are in our community right now who are doing it. Zeno Robinson is doing this. Jalen Cassell is doing this.
Yeah.
Mela Lee is doing this. There are so many of us already making this happen. And the more that we continue to act, the more people will see us in these spaces, and the more people will understand that we're not going anywhere. So don't give up on that. That's important to me too. Ooh, I get heated about it.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the big thing about it, and I appreciate so much that you said that because it's about that representation.
Yes.
And we love it. We love it so much. Like I was completely surprised when I looked at the list of the voice actors and saw you there. I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And I really wanted to contact you because I see that. I see me, you know what I'm saying? Like I see that representation, and that's just thank you. Like it's amazing.
Yes.
So we appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much. And I would be remiss and it would be irresponsible of me again to say that like, oh, I made it all on my own and oh, it's like I know. Look at that. I'm blinding. I get it. White people see me, they're not so scared. But that is their mistake because I will talk. That is their mistake because I am very much a Black woman and I will very much talk about this until it's right.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
We're working on it right now and people are opening their eyes right now. It's all happening right this minute. Right
exactly.
This minute. Things are already changing.
Exactly.
I just
And that's
gotta
such a
clap
good
it up
thing.
for you on that.
Thank
For
For
real,
sure.
for
It's
real.
like, honestly.
I love it,
Oh,
man. I love
guys.
it. I'm loving it. I'm
Thank
loving
you
it.
so much. I really appreciate y'all.
Yes,
Oh,
we
we
need more
appreciate you.
people
Yes.
in this industry, in this entertainment industry like that. We definitely do, and that's why I'm trying to squeeze my way in there so I can
Get there,
voice.
man.
There you go.
Because
Get
these
there.
guys will tell you I'm the same way, so they know.
I
I'm
feel
loving
it.
it. I really am.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
We're making it happen, and I know it's been really rough, especially over the course of the summer.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There's been some ugliness showing its face, and it's necessary. It's necessary that these things come out because it existed even when people weren't talking about it. We all know that.
Hmm.
You know, we all
Hmm.
know
Yeah.
it's been there. It's even when people felt like they couldn't say it, and now
Yeah.
people feel they've got the green light to have bigotry just sitting front and center. And I know how discouraging that can be. I
Very.
feel that it hurts me too. It hurts all of us. But we cannot allow them. We cannot allow it to stop us and make us or believe what they're saying. We can't believe what they say. We've been told over and over again, we're not enough, we're not people, we're not there, or all of these negative adjectives that they'll just pile
Or
on.
less
And it's like,
than.
nope,
Yes.
we know who we
No.
are. You know who you are.
Exactly.
You know who
Exactly.
you are.
Yeah.
Present it.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
with your authenticity,
and
with your whole chest, come out and show us who you are.
what
Right.
say it with your
Yeah, I
whole
was about to
chest.
say, say it with your whole chest.
Exactly. And that's another reason why we appreciate so much what you do, because myself, Demetrius, and Joshua, we're on the science side of it, but as far as like what
That's
you and thank you so much. As far as what you and Marcus do, it's like, because this whole pandemic, the quarantine, for a lot of people, has been very, very depressing.
Yes.
And just to be able to watch something that you do that, gets my mind off of it for even a second, that's a big deal. And you're doing that for a lot of people, and we appreciate that.
Yes,
And
we do.
let me just say, for like the science side, that is so incredible. That is so
Thank
important. That is so incredible to be working in the sciences, to be working in the higher maths,
Mhm.
especially as people of color. My aunt holds a couple of PhDs, and her most recent thesis
Awesome.
has been about how a lot of our youth, especially youth who are in lower socioeconomic circumstances, especially our youth of color, will do something that she'll call select themselves out. And what that means is they could be advancing just as well as any of the rest of their peers at a certain level, like in earlier schools and earlier maths and sciences. And as you get to a certain point, they'll deviate and they'll head off into another direction, or they'll stop engaging with these higher maths and sciences. And her thesis was about how that was because they've been told over and over that it's too hard. It's too hard for you. This isn't a space for you. You shouldn't be here. You're not smart enough. You shouldn't be here. You're not good enough. People aren't going to understand the way that you talk and what you say, so you shouldn't even try.
Thank
And
you.
they'll select, and they'll leave it before they even get until it right when it starts to get a little hard. Just as it starts to get a little hard, because it's the first inclination that maybe they're right about what they say about me, and they'll head off the other direction.
And the sad part is, and it really breaks my heart, we talked about this in one of the earlier podcasts, the sad part is these institutions and these colleges will actually say that to you. I won't name the school in particular, but and that's why I had to leave this particular university. When I went there, my advisor, she told me that there were courses set up to weed me out, to weed people out, instead of encouraging people that have a thirst for knowledge, which is what with the educational system and advisors and professors, this is what they're supposed to be doing, especially in a HBCU, especially.
Yeah.
And they turn us away, and it's unfair. And this happening a lot, and it's ridiculous because we have a bunch of future doctors, lawyers, scientists. It doesn't matter. A lot of people that, like you said, they get deterred because of just bad leadership, and they want to go somewhere else, and it's completely unfair.
and
Complete.
being conditioned to believe that they are not either welcome or worthy of the space that they want to be,
Exactly.
that they want to be
Mm-hmm.
in, that they want to be a part of.
Exactly.
And which is why I'm so passionate about saying you are. Which is
Big
why I'm so
time.
passionate about saying when you're struggling, it's okay.
Yeah.
And you're still good. And
Yeah.
you're still worthy. And you should still be here. And why I'm so passionate about saying if you feel that you need help, if you don't know your next step, it is okay to reach for it. It is okay to call for it. It doesn't make you lesser. It doesn't make you stupid. It is a strength to know when you need help. It is a strength to know when it's time to call for aid.
100%.
In any respect.
Yes.
100%.
It's
Keep
a
pushing.
virtue.
Like keep pushing through the you know, the troubled times or whatever, or like the times when you're struggling. Keep pushing, because
Yes.
you know you're always gonna run into a struggle.
Uh-huh.
But you know, if it's something you really want, you can work through it, push through it to get what you want.
When I first started studying for voiceover, when I first decided that this was something I wanted to get into and I wanted to get into classes, I did not have the money. It was not available to me. It was not going to happen. I contacted, I took like one class and I was like, I can't continue. That was all of it. Goodbye. Money is gone. And I contacted the folks that I took the class with and I said, listen, I financially cannot continue to learn with you guys, but I really don't want to lose this education. I don't want to stop pushing. And I said, is there any way that I can do a work exchange? Is there something that we can do? Like I will come in early, I will do paperwork for you, I'll send emails, I'll clean up. Is there something I can do? And then you don't even have to let me participate, just let me audit. Just let me sit and watch. And they were so generous with their time and with giving me that opportunity to be there. I showed up early, I stayed late, I cleaned up, I set out chairs, I handed people their paperwork, I made sure they signed in, I sent them to different spots, I made sure everybody was working on. Like I made sure that I was giving something back. I was making an exchange.
Right.
But then they allowed me to be there and to create an education for myself and have an education and network with them and with people. And I've made some lifelong friends because of it, and mentors because of it. And I'll forever be grateful for that. But it was because I had the vulnerability to say, I ain't got it.
Yeah.
I don't have it right now. And I don't want to lose it. So what can we do to make this happen? Because there's got to be another way. And even if that answer is no, it's okay. Because number one, they know how dedicated you are.
Yeah.
Right? And number two, they may be able to point you in another direction.
Exactly. And we think that's fantastic. A running theme of this podcast so far, it's just been putting in the work. And I love how you talk about it, Laura, just saying that, you know, you didn't really know too much or weren't even looking for voiceover in anime or in anything. But from what I'm hearing, in one way or another, whether it was education, whether it was doing something for free or trying to, you know, see where you could just get in, you put in the work and you got the result. And that's just, you can't beat that. You honestly can't.
Thank you.
No.
It's been an interesting ride for sure. And I won't say that it wasn't hard. I won't say that there weren't sacrifices. I definitely had moments where some of my friends, some of my very close relationships were like, what are you doing? And being like, why are you wasting your time doing this? And like, you should be out there looking for more hours and try to get like a more stable job so that you can, you know, survive. Like, this could never amount to anything. You may not get anywhere. You could end up homeless. You might have to move back home. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What would happen if I?
It happens. You wouldn't be where you are right now.
You wouldn't have followed your dream.
Exactly.
You know?
And
it's doing what you love.
At all.
When you're doing what you love,
Yes.
it doesn't matter. It does not matter.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because
And
you know,
oh, go ahead, Demetrius.
because you'll never have to wonder like what if, like you know, like at the end of the day, you know exactly what happens, no whether it's good or bad. you went through all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I'm not like the biggest fan of like Jim Carrey, but there was one thing that he said once that really stuck with me. And it was, there is always a chance that you can fail at what you don't want. So why not go after what you do?
There you go.
That's wise words.
That's wise words.
I mean,
Jim Carrey.
he's a whole lot of a human.
He's a lot.
Yeah,
He's got a
of
lot
course.
going on.
Yes, definitely.
But
That little nugget I put in my pocket. I was like, I'll keep that one. But like,
that's a good one. And
Jimmy?
Yeah. I'm write that one down.
I'm gonna have to write
I
that
got
down.
to journal that somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Laura, it's been great having you on, and a big thing from what you just said that and this will be like one of my last points, but one of my favorite quotes from my dad, he says that nobody will realize your dream like you. And like you just said, you know, if you listen to all the naysayers and all the outside forces, you wouldn't have gotten to where you are today. And that goes with anything, regardless if you want to be an artist, if you want to be a scientist. I know everybody in the Square Round Table, I've dealt with it. Dmitri, Marcus, we've all dealt with it. But you got to go with your gut instinct, guys. And
Yes.
definitely. So let that be a take home for all of our listeners. And once again, Laura, it's been such a pleasure having you
Thank
on.
you so much, guys. I want to thank all of you so much for continuing to push on your own individual journeys. It's so exciting and inspiring to hear about you guys as well.
Thank you.
And I hope you'll continue and keep rocking it the way that you are, and keep reaching out and having these conversations and making them available to people who may need to hear them. You guys are really fantastic and really inspiring. So thank you so much for that. It means a lot to me.
It means
so
a
thank
lot.
you guys.
Oh,
Thank
man,
you.
it means a lot to hear you say that.
It does.
Yeah.
It's been amazing. Like I've had a great time tonight. I know these guys have.
Yes, definitely.
They're really fun.
But yeah, Laura. So before we head out, I don't know, what you have going on. So definitely tell all our viewers on YouTube, tell everybody on power214.com. What do you have going on right now? And tell them your social media, all that good stuff.
Oh man, what have I got going on that I can talk about?
It's NDA.
Right.
There you go.
You can find me in one of the shows that's coming out that's currently airing at the moment that I am in. I play Mommy in Rent a Girlfriend. A lot of people hate her. It's okay. If you hate her, I still love you.
The memes.
But I play Mommy in Rent a Girlfriend, and that's coming out. I am the ADR writer for Misfit of Demon King Academy. So you can go ahead and check that out. What else is happening at this moment that I can tell you? I can't. I'm acting in some new stuff. I'm currently writing something brand new that I'll be able to tell you about. And I'm actually, for the first time, I've recently started directing something. And I'll tell you about that soon.
Okay.
You can find all of that out on like my Twitter, which is Laura LAURA _Stahl STAHL. And Instagram, I think it's just Laura Stahl together. I have a TikTok, which has been really fun too, and that I think is also just Laura Stahl. No, wait, that might be Laura _Stahl. You'll find me. I'm there. It's the same pictures I think that's on my Twitter. Yep.
Definitely.
So those are great spots that you can find me, and I will be doing a lot of reveals soon, and some of them are really big.
Ooh,
So
can't
I'm
wait.
excited to share them with you. So please check those out soon. And I really appreciate you guys, and I'd love to do this again sometime. So thank you.
We'd love to do this
We'd
again
be
with
so
you.
happy. We'd be so happy to have you. And yes, for everybody out there on power214.com and everybody out on YouTube, Laura's being extremely nice right now, but she absolutely killed it in Promised Neverland. So please, I need everybody
Go check it
that's listening
out
right now.
Thank you.
Go check it out.
Go check it out.
Netflix.
Netflix.
Watch it right now. You will not be disappointed.
No.
Go check it out.
Appreciate you guys.
No problem.
And now a word from our sponsors. The Square Roundtable podcast is brought to you by Two Photon Art. Two Photon is an art collective whose primary mission is to make science more accessible through science communication and art. Some of their art includes science-themed patches, jewelry, stickers, zines, and clothing, all of which contribute to the inclusivity, equality, and the overall advocacy for human rights in and out of the scientific community. You can find all of these wonderful pieces on twophotonart.com. And for all our YouTube viewers out there, we will add all of their website and social media info in the description below.
And yeah, guys, so like every time, it is time for my promotion.
Shameless
So,
promotion.
Shameless, I was like shameless plug.
of course, guys. So you can catch the Square Roundtable podcast on power214.com every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Central, well, 12 p.m. Central time, and 1 p.m. Eastern time. And go ahead, Dmitri.
And you can check us out on YouTube on Friday at any time at the Square Roundtable. If you like it, and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you get a notification of when we post a new video, because we post a lot.
Exactly. So, all right, guys, this has been the Square Roundtable with the amazing Laura Stahl. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank
You've
you.
been amazing.
You're welcome. We are out.
We're out.
Peace.
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 Peace.